I want to show you the morning routine of a couple of agents who I know who make well over $1 million a year in real estate. I don't want to do this to impress you, because when you see what it actually looks like, how simple it actually is and how structured it is, how completely repeatable it is, you're going to realize that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not as wide as you would think. It's not about talent. It's not about the market. It's not about how many hours you work. It's about what you do before noon every single day. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through that morning step by step. And I'm going to show you why I believe, after years of training and coaching agents at every single level, that if you will protect and control what happens before noon every single day, everything else in your business will start to fall into place. Here's what I also want to address before we're done, because I've taught this schedule to a lot of agents over the last few years, and almost every one of them looks at it and says, that makes complete sense, I can do that. And then they go try it, and within 2 weeks they've slowly drifted back to exactly what they were doing before. So not because the schedule doesn't work, because it does, but because there's a reason that most agents can't hold it, and it has nothing to do with discipline or motivation. I'm going to show you what that reason is. Understanding it's the difference between this being something you try for 2 or 3 weeks and something that actually changes your business permanently. Before we talk about what happens before noon, we need to talk about first what happens the night before. Because here's something that most agents skip when they talk about a morning routine and when they talk about productivity. And I think it's the reason that most of the advice on this topic doesn't stick for most agents. You can't control your morning if you don't control your evening before. Now, I know that sounds simple, but I want you to really think about it. If you're staying up until midnight watching TV or scrolling through your phone on social media, you're not going to get up early and get ready to go the next morning. It's just not happening. I was in a meeting today with people talking about what does the ideal morning look like, and I was amazed at how people who said, I used to get up without a problem and now I don't anymore. And as we talked about it further, what we figured out is it's because they're staying up so late at night. Your body won't do it consistently if you don't create it or structure around it. And if you're not up early in the morning, the whole structure that we're about to talk about gets compressed, or it just gets skipped entirely. So remember, we're talking about agents who are making over $1 million a year in real estate, and one of them significantly multiple millions of dollars a year in real estate. So the schedule actually starts the night before. And here's what you do, is you've got to decide what time you need to be up in the morning. And what you want to do is work backwards from that. So give yourself enough sleep. Figure out for you what that looks like. But for most people, that's going to be somewhere between 7 and 8 hours a night of sleep. And then protect that amount of time in bed. So you figure out what time you need to get up and then back that up by 7 or 8 hours. Now you know what time you have to get to bed, so that you can protect that. And I want you to protect it like you would a client appointment, because that's exactly what it is. This is an appointment with the version of you who shows up tomorrow ready to do the work. Here's what needs to happen before you even sit down with a prospect. Every single day, you need to be getting up and you need to be doing some exercise every day. I'm not telling you what kind or for how long, whether it's running, walking, lifting, yoga, I don't care. Whatever it is, whatever version of you that needs to look like, but move your body, because the energy and the clarity that you bring to a prospecting call that's going to start at either 8 or 9 a.m. is directly connected to whether you moved first. The agents who prospect well in the morning almost always have moved their bodies before they ever picked up a phone. And that's not a coincidence. Now, number 2, the next thing you've got to be doing every day is taking some time to work on your mindset. And you do that through reading. And that is work that you're going to be doing, is reading to work on your mindset. Something that's intentional, that gets your head right before the day starts, because you're going to run into plenty of negativity throughout the day. So at least 10 minutes of reading, and then do at least another 10 minutes of journaling and some type of planning where you're getting getting into a state of gratitude. So write down at least 10 things every day in your journal that you are grateful for. And then write down what you want to accomplish. If you want to do more than that, that's great. But figure out what is going to work for you. But something that is going to put you in the right frame of mind before you even walk into the office to start working. Because the person who shows up to prospect, and when I say prospect, this might even be just talking to your sphere of influence, but the person who does that after scrolling through social media for 30 minutes is a completely different person. The one who showed up after doing some reading and some exercise and that filled their mind with the right things. The next one I probably shouldn't have to say, but that's shower. Make sure you get showered and get dressed. I've had a couple of times where I was coaching agents, and when I talk to them, I'm like, ooh, they stink. So I will tell you, the only thing that I can't help you with in real estate is if you stink. So make sure you shower and get dressed. Show up to your day like it actually matters, because it does. And because the discipline of treating your morning like a professional, even before you interact with a single client, carries something into how you show up for everything else that you do. Here's the key thing about all this. None of it happens consistently if you're staying up too late at night. So again, the morning is where the business gets built, but the night before is where the morning gets protected. So before you change anything about your morning, change everything about your evening and watch how much easier everything else becomes. Let me describe a morning that I think is going to feel familiar. You wake up, first thing you do is grab for your phone, you're checking emails, you're checking text messages, you're scrolling through your text, you're maybe looking at social media. And here's my problem that I'm assuming happens to you too. You just check social media for a minute and then it's been 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And before you've even gotten anything started for the day, you're now reacting to other people's agendas. So you go get to the office, there's an email from a client that needs a response immediately, or a text from someone asking a question about your listing or your contract. You've got some admin work that you've been meeting to get done. There's a call you need to return from somebody that you've been putting off. So you want to handle that. You feel busy. You even might feel productive. You're doing things, but then when you look up, all of a sudden it's noon and nothing that actually would grow your business has happened yet. I want to be clear that none of these activities are bad. They're all real. They're all things you need to do. They all need to happen at some point. But when they happen in the morning, when they consume the most valuable and most energized hours of your whole entire day, they then crowd out all of the activities that actually move the needle for you in your business. And here's the thing about prospecting. And again, prospecting might be just calling your sphere of influence. So don't hear when I say prospecting, it means you got to call strangers, because I want you to really understand this. It's a morning activity. It's not an afternoon activity. It's not a whenever I get around to it activity. It's a morning activity. And there's a very specific reason for that. Your energy is the highest in the morning. Your mindset is the best in the morning. The people you're trying to reach are most available. And keep this in mind too. Their day hasn't gone awry yet. They haven't had a chance for stuff to pop up and all the problems that show up during the day. Most importantly, the psychological weight of knowing you've already done your prospecting by noon changes how the whole rest of your day feels. It removes the guilt of what you know you should be doing, but you're not. You're not carrying that around with you all afternoon wondering when you're actually going to do it, because it's actually done. That's the most important thing of your day, and it's actually done before noon. The agents who produce consistently at the highest level, they don't have better afternoons than you. What they have is a better morning, a morning that's protected, a morning that's intentional, a morning that produces results before most agents have even figured out what they're going to do with their day. So what does that morning actually look like? Okay, I want to tell you something that actually is going to reframe this entire conversation for you. The morning that I'm about to walk you through, the structure, the habits, the commitments, this is not just the morning of an agent doing 30 or 40 deals a year. This is the same morning used by agents that I personally know, who one of them makes nearly $3 million or over $3 million a year on residential real estate. So there's not massive differences between that and what you need to do and how it will change your business. See, the habits are identical. The structure is identical. The commitment's identical. The only difference between where you're trying to get to, meaning 30, 40 deals a year, and where this agent is how many appointments that he's setting before noon. And right now, he sets 2. So right now, your goal is just 1. That's it. That's the whole gap. Let that land for just a minute. The habits of an agent doing multi-million dollars a year in real estate and the habits of an agent who wants to do 30 deals a year are actually the same. The only variable is the number of appointments you're going to schedule, which means that the morning that I'm about to show you is not just the path to 30 deals. It's a path to wherever you want to take this business. And here's what that morning looks like. You need to show up at the office already prepared because you did the right things the night before. You've got up, you've exercised, you've read, you've spent some time journaling, and you showered. Don't forget that one. You're not just rolling in and figuring out what it's going to look like. You've already done all the important things to get ready. When you walk in the door ready to work because you protected the evening before and you started the actual morning before you got to the office, first thing in the morning, you should be doing some type of a role play. Make sure you're role playing with somebody, especially if you're calling leads that are not people that you know. But practicing the conversations that you're going to have for that day is smart. Professional athletes go out and practice the actual moves they're going to make in the game before the game so that they know they have it dialed in. They don't just show up and wing it. You need to do the same thing, not just hoping the words are going to come to you right in the moment. Because if you practice every single day, and the agents who do that, who know their scripts, they know the things that they're going to talk about, sound differently when they actually pick up the phone from the agent who hasn't. That difference shows up directly in the results. So now that you've practiced, the next thing you've got to do is get on and make those phone calls. This is the core of the whole morning, and it's completely protected time. No email during this time, no text. In fact, put your phone on sleep mode so that you don't even know they're coming in. No admin work, no MLS browsing, just you calling and talking to people. Calling the people in your system and following up with the leads, and then ultimately setting appointments. That's it. There's nothing else. And the goal of that prospecting block is not to make contacts. It's not to check a box. It's not something we feel like we just did something. The goal is to set an appointment, specifically one every single day before noon. Here's what I want you to hear if you're sitting at 10 deals a year right now. Start with just 1. Don't start with 2. Just set 1 new appointment every single day that you work and do it before noon. That's your standard right now. That's the commitment. And here's what that commitment looks like in practice. You don't go home until you've set an appointment. You've got to be that serious about it. You don't move on to email. You don't start doing admin work. You don't check your phone for messages or social media. You set 1 new appointment with somebody that you've never met with, and only then are you done with your prospecting for the day. 1 appointment per day, 5 days a week, that's going to turn into roughly 20 appointments a month. If half of those turn into a transaction, which should be conservative if you're doing it right, think about what that would look like in a warm referral-based relationship where you already know the people, they already trust you. Imagine that. That could be 10 transactions in just 1 month, which would be 100 transactions a year. I hope you can see now why agents can make millions and millions of dollars a year not working any harder than you. It's just they understand the importance of setting 1 new appointment, or for them, typically the $1 million a year is 2 appointments. So notice that. You could go from 30 deals a year to over $1 million a year by setting 2 appointments every single day. The math isn't complicated. The commitment is not complicated. 1 appointment before noon every single day, and your system will grow, and the referral machine will build, and the warm calls that you make get easier, and the pipeline just gets fuller. That's when you move from 1 to 2. That's when you step into the same standard that an agent making over $3 million a year does every single day. But don't skip ahead. Just do 1 first. Get that mastered. Build the system around it, and then watch what happens to your business. I want to tell you one more thing about this agent before we move on. When he goes to another office to speak, because as you can imagine, somebody closing over 100 deals a year, doing over $3 million a year, in real estate, people want to hear from him. When he shows up at an event, even if he's out of town, when he's got a packed afternoon already scheduled, guess what he still does every single morning? Every time, without exception, and not because anybody's making him, not because he has to, but because the morning is something that he does even when it's inconvenient. It's the foundation that everything else in this business is built on. And he knows that the moment he starts treating it as optional, the whole thing starts to crack. That's the standard. And now you know what it looks like. I want to come back to something that I said at the very beginning of this video. I told you that most agents who try this schedule drift back to their old habits within just a couple of weeks. And I told you it's not about discipline or motivation. Here's what it's actually about. A morning prospecting block only works, and I mean really works, consistently day after day when you have something real to prospect into, meaning a database. So think about what that means. When you pick up the phone in the morning and you know who you're calling, when you have a real system behind your outreach, a real list of warm people who know you and are expecting to hear from you, that prospecting block has momentum to it. It produces results, and the results make it easier to show up and do it again tomorrow. The wins just compound. But when you pick up the phone and you're calling cold leads who don't know you, or you're just making random check-in calls to people who in a disorganized database with no structure behind it, the prospecting block starts to feel like a grind, a frustrating, unproductive grind. And the moment that it starts to feel that way, the drift begins. You push it back an hour, you tell yourself, I'll do it after you handle a couple of emails. Then pretty soon it's 10 a.m. and you haven't done a thing. And the next thing you know, it's 11. Then all of a sudden it's noon and you haven't done any of your prospecting, and you tell yourself, well, I'll do better tomorrow. And then tomorrow, the exact same thing happens. So it's not the schedule that fails. The system that should have been feeding the schedule just wasn't there. Here's how I want you to think about it. The morning block is the engine. It's powerful. It's built to produce results, but an engine needs fuel to run. And for the real estate agent, the fuel is a referral system, a closed system built around people who already know you and trust you. The warm sphere that's been built and worked and maintained in a way that gives you and your prospecting block something real to work with every single morning, that you're not dreading making those phone calls. Without the fuel, the engine runs for a few days and then it stalls. And when it stalls, when the prospecting block stops producing results, the agent stops showing up for it. Not because they're lazy, and not because they don't care, but because doing something that isn't working is hard to sustain. And I want to say that again. Doing something that isn't working is hard to sustain. So this is the piece that most agents miss when they try to copy this morning schedule. They get the structure right, they role play, they protect prospecting block, they commit to setting in appointments, they put it all in place, but they don't have a system that actually makes showing up feel worth it every single day. This agent that I've been talking about, the ones whose morning I just walked you through, he's not just disciplined about his morning. He has something real to be disciplined about. And what you need is a referral system that's constantly generating warm people to call. A sphere that's actually been carefully built and consistently worked so that every morning when you sit down to prospect, you're not starting from scratch. You're picking up where you left off with people who are already inclined to work with you. That's the combination. It's the schedule plus the system, the engine plus the fuel. Together, they're going to compound for you month after month and year after year. Separately, neither one of them is going to produce what it's capable of producing. The schedule you now know, it's simple, it's repeatable, and you can start building it tomorrow. The system is what makes it whole. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, I want both of these things. I want the morning structure and I want the system that makes showing up for it worth it every single day. I've put together that walks you through a program that I call 30 Deals in Your Phone. It's the system that feeds the morning. It's a referral-based business built around your existing sphere that gives you prospecting block to something that feels real and warm and productive to work with every single day. And what we do is we go through your actual contacts, the people already in your phone right now, and we'll map out for you where your next 10 to 30 deals are sitting. And I'll help you build a system around those relationships. And when you sit down with your morning prospecting block, or you're not staring at a cold list wondering who to call, you're working a warm system that's already producing. Click the link in the description below, and I will take you and walk you through that system. And then afterwards, if you want to fill out a form, I'll jump on a call with you and go through your specific situation together, where I'll show you exactly where your deals are at and what it would take to go get them. Now, this isn't a high pressure, try to convince you to sign up for coaching. I just want to give you a clear, honest look at what's already available to you in your context, because the schedule is simple. I already gave you the schedule. You know exactly what it looks like. The question is, what are you going to do with it when you sit down tomorrow morning? Have the system ready, and the morning will take care of itself. Now, go take a look at that video and then go make somebody glad they met you today.